commend the leader of the team, your general, Craig Butler. I want you all to stand.
Chest over the ball, ankles lock, Maggie. If you don't, your concentration going to go. Focus. Goes down. Can't touch the net all. No, focus. Point your non-kicking foot where you want the ball to go. Point the toe. Very good.
You're going to do exceptionally well. Your future will be great. I know that. Because I know that. Because Craig has provided you with all the inspiration that you need. And so I wish you well. And I'm going to say that I'll be your number one cheerleader. Be your number one cheerleader. All the way.
Good. Very good. Keep going. Point the toe. No, point the toe down. Chest over the ball. Listen to the words I'm telling you. Don't lean not onto thine own understanding. No, toes down. Lock your ankle. Drive that ball. After your first fifth ball, you're gone. No, you can't do nothing else. Focus. Focus. You're swinging across the ball, not through.
You have done very well. Craig, you have done so exceptionally well with your players, with your babies, from babies. You know, and you've seen them grow. You have set an example for them. The kind of passion that takes place, that's the kind of passion that you all seem to emanate. And so, I had to take the time out this morning to come and meet you individually and to say to you, every step of the way, I'm with you.
Oh, get them on target, Chippy. Focus. Get them on target. Good. Keep going. One, get back the ball in. Good. Get them on target. Get them on target. Put them away. Good.
And I know you're going to make Jamaica look very good. I want you to be injury-free. Take care of yourselves. And always remember that an entire country is behind you. And representing Jamaica. The land you love, the land I love, and the land that everybody across the world wants to be Jamaica. Everybody wants to be a Jamaican or get a piece of Jamaica. So, do well, take care of yourselves, and God bless you all.
Don't make him score for you, Mikey.
But do you guys know the struggle outside of football that Craig has been through as a human being? That's the story that he doesn't speak of. I have written many letters in support of Craig and the things that he has had to overcome. Because deep down, I saw in Craig someone who always ran into obstacles. He's not the most subtle of people. He goes into these things head on. But most importantly, we grew up at a time when people didn't want you to question things. And Craig questioned things that he didn't agree with. So we were taught not to question. And I'm very happy and proud of you, of what you're doing. There is a saying, and I'll end by saying this. The man who plants a tree, knowing that he will not be able to enjoy the shade that it gives, you begin to understand what life is about. Thank you.
Okay, we certainly enjoyed the experience. Really good for us as well. Okay, your style of play was really good. Lots of skills are excellent. Your attacking play very, very good. So well done to you. Okay, thank you. I hope the rest of your trip when you go home. Friday. Please teams as well, haven't you? Okay, so I hope you've had a great experience. All right, so thank you. Take care.
Want to commend the leader of the team, your general, Craig Butler. I want you all to stand.
Chest over the ball, ankles lock, Maggie. If you don't, your concentration go and go. Focus. Goes down. Can't touch the net all. No, focus. Point your non-kicking foot where you want the ball to go. Point the toe. Very good.
You're going to do exceptionally well. Your future will be great. I know that. Because Craig has provided you with all the inspiration that you need. And so, I wish you well. And I'm going to say that I'll be your number one cheerleader. All the way.
Good. Very good. Keep going. Point the toe. No, point the toe down. Chest over the ball. Listen to the words I'm telling you. Don't lean not onto thine own understanding. No, toes down. Lock your ankle. Drive that ball. After your first fifth ball, you're gone. No, you can't do nothing else. Focus. Focus. You're swinging across the ball, not through.
You've done very well. Craig, you've done so exceptionally well with your players, with your babies, from babies. You know, and you've seen them grow. You have set an example for them. The kind of passion that takes place, that's the kind of passion that you all seem to emanate. And so, I had to take the time out this morning to come and meet you individually and to say to you, every step of the way, I'm with you.
Oh, get them on target, Chippy. Focus. Get them on target. Good. Keep going. One, get back the ball in. Good. Get them on target. Get them on target. Put them away. Good.
And I know you're going to make Jamaica look very good. I want you to be injury-free. Take care of yourselves. And always remember that an entire country is behind you. And you're representing Jamaica. The land you love, the land I love, and the land that everybody across the world wants to be Jamaica. Everybody wants to be a Jamaican or get a piece of Jamaica. So, do well, take care of yourselves, and God bless you all.
Don't make you score for you, Mikey.
But do you guys know the struggle outside of football that Craig has been through as a human being? That's the story that he doesn't speak of. I have written many letters in support of Craig and the things that he has had to overcome. Because deep down, I saw in Craig someone who always ran into obstacles. He's not the most subtle of people. He goes into these things head on. But most importantly, we grew up at a time when people didn't want you to question things. And Craig questioned things that he didn't agree with. So we were taught not to question. And I'm very happy and proud of you, of what you're doing. There is a saying, and I'll end by saying this. The man who plants a tree, knowing that he will not be able to enjoy the shade that it gives, you begin to understand what life is about. Thank you.
Okay, we certainly enjoyed the experience. It's really good for us as well. Okay, your style of play is really good. Skills are excellent. Your attack play very, very good. So well done to you. Okay, thank you. I hope the rest of your trip when you go home. Please teachers not having that. Okay, so I hope you've had a great experience. All right, so thank you. Take care.
Hi, I'm Craig Butler, professional football manager and father to top international players. Football coach to Jamaica's youngest and most talented players. Jamaica, why haven't we started the Premier League when the rest of the world has started already? You want people starved to death? Consistency is key to development. Anyone who says otherwise is utter madness, is mad people. We have a Football Unfiltered exclusive with Leon Bailey, Raheem Sterling, and Jadon Sancho simultaneously. You heard it here first, folks. We dissect and present football in a way that you've never seen before. Trust me on that. Craig Butler's Football Unfiltered. Don't miss it.
All right, welcome everybody to this week's episode. As I mentioned last week, I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Carvalho. I'm traveling, so I'll be out of, I won't be with Craig today. We're going to bring Craig on in just a second. Just want to first obviously say thank you to all our supporters for liking, subscribing on all of our videos. And if you have any questions for Coach today, please put it in the comments. So we're going to bring on Craig. So Coach, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you doing?
Great. It's too bad I can't be there today, but thanks for being able to come on remotely. I know it's you're always here and there and everywhere. So how are you? How are you doing?
No problem, man. I'm here arguing with Falco in the streets.
It's a different episode today. How's Falco doing?
All right, yeah, my respect. Yeah, so we're in the streets today, Brandon, and we borrow a case of cars so we can have a little fun, you know.
Yeah. So it's we're very committed to the show. So even though we can't be there in person, and you're obviously very busy a lot, so we still want to do it. So just try to be safe, and we'll get the show going. Is still good to go ahead?
Yeah, well, I'm here with my friend Falco, so Falco is holding the phone for us.
Okay.
And we will get it done. Don't worry.
All right, great. So we're going to have also Giles on, who's one of the heads of Brookhouse. As you guys saw last week, a couple Phoenix players are in England now. So we're going to talk to him a bit about that. But Coach, I wanted to ask you, how are you feeling about yesterday? We all saw the match. What's your first impressions, and what do you think should be done next? For, I guess, in the current situation, there's two things. There's what needs to happen now and what needs to happen, in a grander scheme. But how do you think? What do you think happened yesterday? And what are your first impressions?
Well, I think it was horrible. I think this is the worst game I've seen Jamaica play in a very long time. Really, really bad. No former system, no defense, no offense, no team synergy. So it was really, really sad to watch it. And it at this point, Tapa needs to go.
Yeah, you
And
feel
at
that
this
way?
point, we need to try and save the national program and get the boys to the World Cup. I think that's,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah, actually, there was a lot of talk on Twitter, Instagram, and even here in this chat. They're saying that Jamaica needs you as the coach. If you were not saying that obviously JFF has their protocols of what they want to do with Kappa, but what would be your next move for the team if you were in that
I'm going to
position?
close the top so we can actually hear better because it's
Yeah.
too much
Can you
noise outside.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah. We were just showing off.
No problem. Yeah, no, I don't think it. I haven't been in that car yet, so I'd love to try that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But yeah, I was just saying on social media, there was a lot of people calling on you, right? Saying, Craig, come help. The team needs you. Obviously, we've had this show. We've been doing a lot from what you can, to our audience and putting yourself out there. But what would you personally what would you personally do if you were put in that type of position to help that national team?
Well, the first thing is I've been advised to stay away from it. And by those close to me, because they feel that so much injustice has been done that I should just walk away and leave it. But for me, I'm about Jamaica. And the JFF is the Jamaica Football Federation. The first two words, Jamaica and football, are very close to me and to my heart. So there's no way I would turn my back if I was asked to help with the national program in any capacity. Doesn't matter. I think I could do more as a head, but in any capacity, I would help my country. And that's what I believe in. I believe that we should be the best in the world, given the resources that we have, or human capital, or natural resources, or players. And I think that I have a lot that I could add to the future and the present team and make them more competent. I think Tapa just lacks he lacks knowledge. It's not that you cannot be in a position where everyone is calling for your job and this is the performance you give as a coach. That's your best. It's not the best you can do, because if I thought I was going to lose my job if I didn't perform as a coach, I'd be putting out my best. And that was surely not a tactical game, surely not a motivated team, surely not a unified team. The team doesn't look happy. They don't look happy. They don't look like they're fighting for each other. I saw heads down. I saw when Lowe got beaten and the goal scorer drop him head. I didn't hear anybody shouting at him to lift your head up, Lowe. I didn't hear anybody motivating Tyreek to keep going forward, take them on. I mean, a great sign of the regression or the lack of forward thinking is actually bringing in Aka, a 38-year-old, to play holding midfield. Holding midfield, which is a workhorse's position. You're bringing him in. Of course, he made tackles. But once he was beaten, that was it. He couldn't run back.
Yeah.
And after 20, 30 minutes, he was finished. And that puts strain on Speedy and on Tyreek, because they're not the most defensive-minded people in the world. They're creative players. So you needed balance. Now, a lot of people would say that this was as a result of people not having, of Tapa not having people at his disposal. Yeah. Yeah, this was as a result of Tapa not having people at his disposal. But what you must recognize is that Tapa called and had Aka prepared to play before he knew that those people weren't available.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't a situation of him not having anybody. It was a situation of him not wanting anybody.
Yeah,
And
going back to what he used to do in a sense. Yeah, I just want to say I do see Giles is here in the live. Giles, we're going to get you on in about 5 minutes. We're just going to finish up a bit on this topic. So Giles, please stay with us. We'll get you on in a second. But Coach, I wanted to ask you, what you mentioned was the Jamaica Football Federation, the national team, isn't necessarily just represents football. It represents Jamaica as a whole and what people are passionate about. And we saw last week, if people saw that the Minister of Sports and Culture, Babsy Grange was out there commending you in the video that we saw, not just on the football, but the lives you've impacted from very young ages and, growing up and giving kids chances, and those kids going out there doing well and providing for their families down here. Is that something you envision that, that could be used, the JFF could be used to that extent of impacting not just football, but, lives all around?
Of course. Football and the opportunities that it creates. Look at these boys. The two boys that are gone, they're from the communities of Augusto.
That's Thierry Mills and Jade.
Thierry and Jade. No money, nothing. Yeah? Leon didn't have anything either. But when they get the opportunity and they go to England and they perform and do well, they can move into a position where they're helping their family, helping their community, helping Jamaica. And when we don't have a proper system of development in place and a proper coaching system and proper coaches, we're doing our country and the people of our country a disservice. So for me, I'm not happy with how things are, but I don't want to be the one to be breaking down the people. I want to be the one that is going to be uplifting the people, doing the best that I can. So if the JFF calling me, they calling me, so long as I'm able and alive, I'm there. Yeah. I'll stand and be counted. Because that's the same thing I said to Leon. I said, no matter what, all these other countries that were interested in having him play could have stayed in Germany for a little while longer. By now, he'd be playing for the German national team. He could have stayed in Belgium and became a Belgian citizen, keep his residency, and he could qualify. We could have gone to England through my grandparents. But the truth of it is, Jamaica is our home. This is our country. And if we don't do something for it and we don't stand up for it, who will?
Yeah. So do you feel like it's almost your duty that you have to be there and at the drop of a hat?
Of course. It's your duty. You must help your country in whatever capacity you can. And this will be just a great opportunity to do that. Byron. Yeah. You have to love him.
Yeah.
Byron has been one of my longest friends, through the ups and downs. He's there, so we just thief out Casey's car and driving him around.
Well, it's funny. if you go back to our live last week, you called exactly what could happen in yesterday's match, and it happened. Going all the way to Haka, you said he's going to be there, he's going to start, and he's going to be tired, right? You said that, and it's almost like everything so far since we started these lies have come to fruition. And almost like you.
And I said it. I also said that Tyreek would not look as good because there wouldn't be anybody there to back him up and support.
Yeah, you did say that. Yeah. We'll have to get that voiceover and put it on top of the.
Yeah, they're becoming good at this now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's bring in Giles because the boys scored.
Man.
They played their first game. Jade scored 3, and Theory Putty scored 1 in a victory. So we want to bring in Giles and speak about, because Whisper is going on shortly, I think on the weekend or a little after. I guess Shelly will have to take him up. So let's speak with Giles and let's hear how things are going over at Brookhouse.
All right, so we'd like to introduce everybody to Giles Williams, who I believe, I apologize if you can correct me, I believe you're the head or the technical director or one of the senior levels of the Brookhouse College, where a lot of the Phoenix players are. Some of these people might be new. If you can just go ahead and give people a short introduction of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon. Hi, Craig. My name's Giles Williams. I'm the Managing Director of Brookhouse College over here in Market Harbour in Leicestershire. We operate an independent boarding school which has a football programme. So we specialise in preparing children for university and helping them in the meantime to play sport, especially football, at the highest possible level. So we have, I think, one of the best known and probably best facilitated football projects within independent schools in the UK. And in the last few weeks, we've been lucky enough to welcome a couple of boys from the Phoenix program. Although we've been working alongside Craig for a longer period of time than that, so we're kind of seeing some of the fruits now of the opportunities that Craig was talking about previously in terms of some of the boys from Jamaica. They came over on tour, obviously, over the summer as well. So the boys have had a fair bit of exposure, and then as a result of that, we've been able to welcome some of the boys on a more long-term basis, as opposed to just a touring group, and it's great to have them with us. We're lucky that we're a school, we're not a football club, so we can allow new arrivals to settle in and take their time and find their feet in a new country and a new football operation. Sometimes in professional football, players don't unfortunately get that time to settle in. They get huge expectations from the moment they arrive because of big transfer fees and things like that. Whereas for us, the first point is just to make sure the boys are happy and settled in their new home, and then we'll concentrate on developing their football abilities and their tactical awareness. But the boys with us have made a promising start. It's good to see. I think the tour will have helped them definitely in that regard. But as Craig was saying previously, it's a big jump. It's a big step for them, and it will take them a bit of time to find their feet. But that's why they're coming now. That's why they're not coming in a few years' time, because we want them to get an education, and we want them to be ready for football opportunities that may come their way in the future.
Yeah. So last week we had both Jade and Thierry on our live, and they were really excited about going up. What are your first impressions of them? I know they did very well in their first match.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that they were good quality players anyway. To be honest, so it's more a case of embedding them into our philosophy and into our coaching structure and making sure that they don't rush sort of their settling in process. As I say, my first target is always to make sure that they're happy and comfortable. You know, is and because they won't play well if they're not, you know. So I think it's just a sort of an ABC of getting the course structure right, getting their academics right, getting their accommodation okay, getting their mentality okay, and then the football kind of takes when you're dealing with talented athletes, talented student athletes like those two boys. The football kind of takes care of itself as long as they're happy and comfortable and focused and in the right place mentally. Then the football slots into place pretty easily. So I mean we they the three the those two boys and Dujon. I mean, we'd seen them play before, so we knew what they were as a package football wise. We just kind of were it's more managing the transition now rather than anything else. It's just sort of getting them comfortable in the environment and working with the coaches, working with new coaches, getting to know new teammates, that kind of thing. So I mean, to be honest, they probably hit the ground running a bit more than we thought they would. They were probably maybe that's the beauty of being like a teenager. You know, you don't have you're pretty resilient and you're pretty adaptable and you don't have a lot of fear. So you know, they're probably a bit ahead of the curve of where we thought they would be, because you don't want to heap too much expectation on young boys. You know, they're first and foremost they're students. First and foremost they're teenagers, and then, as I say, I think once you get those building blocks in place, that when you're dealing with capable, talented athletes who've come from a good football background, they're well prepared for the next step. So I'm sure they're going to do just fine.
Coach, what was your reaction when you heard of their performance in that first match? Well, I think we may have just lost him. Yeah, but
I think Craig probably won't have been that surprised because he knows them, you know.
Exactly.
So he knows the players better than I do. So he probably knew that they were that he I don't suspect he had any worries at all, because he knows the boys. He's known them since they were kids. You know, so that's why I suspect he wouldn't have facilitated their arrival if he had any worries about them. So I'm sure they're probably done a bit better than we thought they would do, because they only arrived last weekend. So but he probably wasn't surprised that they did well, because as I say, he's known them for so long.
And I did see that Jade scored 3 goals, and I believe Thierry scored 1 goal in their opening match.
Yeah.
So I mean, what are some of the other coaches over there? What are their reactions, and what are some of the teammates? You know, are they excited to be playing with these two and the others that will be there?
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about sort of football, the way we are, is that the boys have the luxury of helping each other and working together. Whereas maybe in a professional club, there's our boys are not competing against each other; they're competing against boys who they don't know, who are going to go for future trials and things like that. So there's a healthy competition, but it's about encouraging each other as well. To be honest, I don't think the coaches were really looking to do much more than give them a run out, really. So I think that the fact that they've hit the ground running is a bonus for us, because you don't really know what's going to arrive up off the plane. You know, if one of them turns around and says, "Oh, I feel a bit stiff," or I've been carrying a bit of a knock, or you never know what exactly state the boys are going to arrive in. So
Yeah.
the fact that they arrived sort of fit and well and positive, I think it was a big trust. It was a big tribute to the conditioning that they've enjoyed in Jamaica, and their enthusiasm for the game as well. And so they've been well coached, they've been well conditioned. So it wasn't a question of if they were going to do well, but it was kind of a question of when they were going to do well. And obviously they've been very, very active. I think all the teammates. The whole point of coming to England and playing with people from around the world is you get to learn from other people. So I'm sure that the other boys will be learning from them, and they'll be learning from some of the other boys as well. That but the thing I would say, and it goes back to a point you were making before, is that they've represented the organisation very well. They've represented their country very well, and I think that's something that Craig should be rightly proud of, because it's about them as people as much as them about footballers.
Yeah, last week we saw the minister, again, Babs Grange, who's the Minister of Culture and Sport here, do a send-off to the boys. And, she asked them specifically that, go and represent your country well. And it was a great send-off. And Coach, I want to ask, is this all a testament to what you've been doing the past couple of years, especially especially how things have been on lockdown and you still had your players conditioning, even if they have to do it at home. Can you hear us, Coach?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to ask that. Is this a testament to what you've have been doing the past couple of years, and just still working, even though it's been harder to do that?
Yeah, well, the Phoenix itself tells you, never die, never give up. The spirit of overcoming obstacles is very important, even so much so now for the national team of Jamaica. We need to overcome this obstacle that we have. We've been preparing these players and making sure that we put them in the right place at the right time. Giles and his team there have turned out so many professional players signing from there that it makes sense to move them at that point so they get the exposure that they need and also the proper education to tie it with the football. So I'm really happy that this is happening. It's an honor to have Babs Grange, Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport. I think that's in that order. To actually speak such great things and positive things about me, after having so many negative things being said over the years, to actually hear the truth come out and to have someone like Ali McNabb speak so highly of me, it made me really feel good, especially at this time in my life when things are not 100% good health-wise. It makes me proud and motivates me to want to do more, to want to see more players getting out of Jamaica, getting the opportunities, and to see Jamaicans doing well on the World Cup stage. I'm glad to see England doing so well as well and what they have achieved. But if you really look at what England has, the amount of players that are from Caribbean and Jamaican backgrounds that are playing for England, you'll realize that if we were to actually be more hospitable, build our background, we would engender several of those players that have come and signed and played for Jamaica instead of playing for England. It is the lack of a place of love to go, that we would lose many of our players, a lack of success, why we would lose our players to an England. So Raheem Sterling and Danny Rose, those type of guys, they are now playing for England because that's England is home to them. We need to be able to present a proper home to any Jamaican that's living overseas that wants to play, a place where our football program is respected and successful, and that is one of the things that is lacking right now in our national team. So a lot of people, yes, they've been asking me to consider being a part of the coaching program for the national team, and I would for the very fact that Jamaica comes first. You know what I mean? Always, always has to come first. For me as a Jamaican, just like you, Giles, you're English, right?
Well, I'm half Irish, but yeah.
Yeah, you were born there, yes?
I was born in England, that's right.
Yes, so if England calls on you to represent them, you can't say no. You cannot. Because to say no would be denying who you are. You know, my DNA is just not made like that.
I think it's such an important point, that, Brandon, and to the people who might be watching and listening. I had a meeting today with a representative of the Belgian FA, and as you probably saw in the midweek games, Belgium lost to France midweek, but it was a fascinating conversation I had and it so relates to what Craig is saying there, because the guy from Belgium was saying to me today, he said the population of England's about 5 times the population of Belgium. The population of Belgium is about 5 times the population of Jamaica. So what he was saying, what my colleague was saying was that in Belgium they haven't got as many good players as they have in England. You know, just the numbers would tell you that.
Yeah.
So it's incumbent upon the FA to look after the players that they do have. You know, so and it's the same in Jamaica. In Jamaica, if you've got 3 million people, you know, you've got a smaller pool. So if you do get a real superstar or a few superstars, then the whole thing has got to work together. So you know, we were talking about this at lunchtime today, and this is a Belgian FA scout who actually is based in the UK. His job is to watch UK football, to find players with possible Belgian links, with Belgian associations, Belgian citizenship. But more importantly than that, he goes around the clubs talking to the Belgian players, and obviously at Leicester there's a few. So you know, we have Yuri Tillemans and Castagnier. But it's like to go and if talk to those guys. So if they're not in the team, or they're not playing regularly, or then to have to reach out to them, and that's a thing that in England, fortunately, yeah, we have lots of good players. So it's maybe we don't need that level of support, but when you're dealing with a smaller talent pool like you are in Jamaica, just by size of the population, not by any other characteristic, you know, if the FA can work with the academies and can work with the players and work with the, you know, then that's gonna support that smaller talent pool so much, and I think it's something that really it needs to be done on a nationwide basis, like a governance wide basis. So you know, so say Leon goes through a tough time at Aston Villa, which happens to every player. You know, is there going to be someone who's going to reach out to him and say, look, mate, you know, you're still our main man. We love you in Jamaica. I mean, it's that mentoring of the players, which I think is so important on a national basis. It's interesting because this is about a federation issue. You know what I mean? This is about a nation's structure and a nation's governance of football as well. And I'd be interested to know Craig's thoughts on what does he think about a World Cup every 2 years? Because there is an argument. There is an argument, and I'm not saying that this is what should happen, but there is an argument that a World Cup every 2 years would help the developing football nations probably more than it would the established football nations.
It's true because you'll get to be seen instead of every 2 years. You'll get an opportunity to be seen every instead of every 4 years. You get an opportunity to be seen every 3 years, every 2 years, which means that more opportunities for players to play. You know.
Yeah. I wanted to quickly go back to one of the points that Giles you made, and it's a good question for Craig because I don't know if it happens or not in Jamaica. So Giles mentioned that.
Hold on, wait. I want to ask Giles a question.
Go ahead.
Giles, can you imagine if the national team coach says about the number one striker in the Premier League that is playing for his national team, that he doesn't speak to him? He makes the assistant coach speak to him.
Yeah, not easily. I can't imagine really how that situation would come about, or certainly is a problem if it does come about, isn't it?
Yeah. How can you? And he says that you say that on national TV.
Yeah.
How are you ever going to have that player's respect again?
Yeah.
You'll never get it.
I mean, I think what's happened in England with Gareth Southgate particularly has been so skilled at working with some of those senior players. I imagine he speaks to them all the time. Not just through his assistants. I mean, I can only judge from what I see on the TV, but the players, they seem to really respect him, to like him. He creates a great atmosphere. I think that the challenge, I think developmentally, probably maybe England's at a level which has gone beyond that and I hope and believe, I'm sure that the FA are doing this to sort of, because obviously the Belgian counterparts are, but to be reaching out to the players that are maybe not in the squad. You're sort of and having dialogue with them. So to say there's maybe 40, 50 English players who I would have thought are in a frame of international competition, and I look at someone like James Maddison at Leicester, who I'm lucky to watch very regularly, and obviously he's been in the England squad and now he's not in the England squad, or Dele Alli, or a Ruben Loftus-Cheek, or a Hudson-Odoi, those types of players, and I think that the coaching team will even maintain a dialogue with those guys, even though they're not in the actual squad, because it's all about developing those boys as much as possible and putting an arm around the shoulder, metaphorically, when it happens. I mean that to me, that seems to be sort of good governance, and that seems to be putting into place a good structure, and if you want the nation to develop, and I presume that the morale in Jamaica hasn't been great because you lost, didn't you, midweek? Yeah. And so and you lost to a near rival as well, and that hurts. But so it's not just about looking after those who are. I do think the England guys have done a good job in from what I read and from what I see in terms of maintaining the squad unity, and I hope
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this, Joy. Sorry to cut you, but I remember when England was after Leon. I got so many calls from Dan Ashman or Ashford. Ashman.
At the FA.
Yeah, he was from the FA of England.
Yeah.
You remember him?
Oh, yeah. I've heard his name, yeah.
Yeah, and he called regularly to communicate, to speak about the player, to speak about what we would like, what, how we're doing, and if we would consider coming on board. Now, that's a player that you're thinking of bringing on board. We need to have a stronger recruitment team, a relationship team, where we're working. The coach, whoever the coach is, has to have the respect of the players, and that's so important. When you don't have the respect of the players, you're fighting an uphill battle because you're playing each country or club plays a system. They should have a system, and you have to have players that believe in that system. If the players don't believe in the coach, they're not going to believe in the system.
Yeah, Coach, I want to ask. It's the same topic because Giles mentioned when a player in the England team doesn't play well, he'll get a call and say, hey, we're keep it going, keep your head up. When something happens, like for example, when Shamar Nicholson gets hurt, he has a broken nose, I think, or jaw. Do you think he gets that call from the president or somebody saying, hey, we know you got injured, but we'll keep you in our thoughts? Does that do anything like that from your knowledge? Does anything like that happen?
I don't know. I can't tell you what they do from what they don't do, but what I do know is that it's not done enough. It's not done enough, and you're going to hear that it's a personnel problem. But you know what? You can, if you even have one coach, you can pick up the phone. WhatsApp is free. You can send a message. Yeah. You can say, "Hey guys, how are you doing? How are things going at the club?" There are a lot of times when the coach has nothing to do because he's not on. There's no international duties, and especially in Jamaica, they do nothing during the period of time that there's no international break. The coaches, senior coaches, should be working on developing, unearthing new talent, setting the system in place, so that when the guys come in, they understand. If Leon was to land off a plane tomorrow morning and come to Phoenix, and we put him at central defender, he would know exactly what his options are, what his passes should be. He would fit in seamlessly because there is a system in place that people understand, and we need to have that. It's not a pickup game. The Belgians, the Germans, the English, the Dutch, the Spanish, they all have the same amount of time for international break. Why do they look seamless? And why do we look disjointed? Very simple. They have a training program consistently being built with the youth and with a second and third team that is inculcating in them their system that is consistent with what their genetic makeup is, what their strengths are as a nation. That's why the Spanish play tiki-taka football. Yeah, that's why the Germans play no nonsense, strong football. Is consistent with who they are.
Yeah,
that's the sort of that's the DNA model, which is currently operated by the England team. So, the 19s, the 23s, the 21s, they all play the same. The same. Obviously, there is, but establishing that DNA, that has been something that Craig's talking about. That's something that's been very, very sort of highly publicized, certainly in the UK. And I think that is a model that so that the players can progress through. You know what I mean? They can progress through from U17s to all the way up through the age groups. They can progress, and the same expectations are there and the same DNA. It's there, the same. The same sort of tactics, expectations, management style, and to be honest, I mean, hats off to the guys at the English FA, because I think they're getting it right. I mean, they they were close to winning the Euros for the first time in a long time, and I think they'll have a good shout at the World Cup. So and equally hats off to the Belgians and the Dutch, who are doing the same thing with smaller numbers, and a smaller talent pool. I mean, what Craig's talking about is like just is obviously a governance issue in terms of getting that structure in place. So that there is it's a system. It's not a and I do think that is a developmental leap in a nation's football. So if you can achieve that within a generation, in terms of support, DNA, that sort of that team England, that team Jamaica, whatever it is, everyone knows their jobs. Everyone, it does make a big difference to if you like, what they would call the product on the pitch. It is, but that is a result of a lot of hard work, investment. But you can't help but think that for the developing the footballing nations like Jamaica, that's the stage that they've got to get to, and I think that an argument for why a lot of those developing nations, they want the World Cup every 2 years, is because it's going to generate a revenue stream for them, which they don't currently have. So I can see why they want to do it. I mean, I don't think it's going to be universally popular, but you can see why they're asking for a slice of the cake on every 2 years, because if that money is used wisely, then it's used towards so a round table discussion, and get a plan in place, so that the FA in Jamaica know what they're doing with every child from the age of 5 all the way up to the established stars who are playing in the Premier League or whatever. But arguably, looking after Leon is only as important as looking after the next Leon, because in 10 years' time, 15 years' time, Leon's not going to play for Jamaica, because Leon's not going to play at all. He might play on the beach with his kids, but he's so where's the next one coming from? Well done, you've got one through, but where's the next one coming? The legacy can't be, we had a couple of good players in 2020.
Giles, you saw Phoenix play games. How many games did you see?
Yeah, I watched 3 or 4 of them when the boys were over here. Yeah.
Did you see a system?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. A system where people know their jobs, they play to their strengths. There's obviously your boys have got some, some very very outstanding physical attributes. So obviously the coaches use those physical attributes wisely, and it's a pattern. It's a pattern of play. It starts from the goalkeeper, and it starts from the manager, and it starts from the, and they're well drilled in it. But all the amount of work that goes into that, I think for Brandon and the people who are watching, they need to know that the amount of work that goes into that is a lot. It doesn't happen overnight. I was talking to a guy today who's telling me about, he'd done a football drill where when there was no ball involved, the manager just kept shouting formations. There was one ball involved, but the manager would go and put the ball down on somewhere, and then say, and they were running through phases without anybody touching the ball, to try and get shape, try and get formation. what you're talking about there is completely. You can take that model and you can build it, into a club model, and you can build it into a federation model, and I think all these. I mean, let's face it. Whenever a team loses, there's gonna be questions that are going to be asked. But you probably now is probably a good time to be looking at the answers to those questions because we're at a time when the reaching out to grassroots, reaching out to academies, reaching out to established players within the game for advice, for guidance, established figures in the game. I mean, that's all part of the federation's job, really.
Absolutely. And it falls heavily on the coaches too, because I remember Michel Sablon was the technical director of the Belgian national team. He helped to establish that golden generation and the way that Belgium played by in putting that system in place.
I think that the golden generation is. I mean, the guy who I was speaking today was telling me about the 16-year-olds, the 17-year-olds. I think that golden generation is going to be replaced by a strong golden generation as coming through.
If that happens, Giles, then you're doing your job.
Yeah.
Because you must have succession planning and a continued sustained development and understanding.
And if I can throw in there also, I mean, most of my football knowledge now actually comes from you, Craig. And what it reminds me of is when you always say that when the national team is out there playing friendlies, or maybe they're not playing any matches at all, why not still have training or practice matches for the players that can, who are available even on the island, or young kids, or just have those camps happen consistently. But the fact is that doesn't really happen, right, Craig? Is that, or do you see that, that's a very important aspect, even all the 12-year-olds who are still here and haven't left yet? Why doesn't the JFF bring in them maybe once a month, twice a month, start developing the system early, so by the time they're up, they're familiar with it.
I guarantee you, I remember well, Belgium does it sometimes the best players going to the Belgian FA 2 times a week.
That's right.
From different clubs, 2 times a week, right, Giles?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they're going 2 times a week. From the youth going all the way up, and they train at that FA. So from the U12s going all the way up are learning the system and matriculating into the first team. So you'll continuously have a flow of kids who are talented, who understand the system.
Yeah, that's so true. And also it gives them a uniformity in terms of the quality of the coaching. So the coaches are strong. And I said to the guy today, I said, because a chap from the Belgian FA, and I said to him today, I said what are focuses for the FA moving forward, and I mean, they've got that generation at the minute with they've had Eden Hazard and Carrasco and Lukaku, and just I mean, Kevin De Bruyne is our best player in the world, maybe, and I said, and he said the thing we're looking for now is the next Lukaku. Because he's not going to go on forever, and they don't have an outstanding sort of. There is a player. There's a couple of players who I know that they're looking at in terms of who can step up, but to look at it in that detail, I was to be honest, I was blown away. That that they're probably 5 years ahead in their planning.
But you have to be.
Yeah.
Right now, let me ask you this. You've seen Whisper play, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be an improvement on the gene of Lukaku?
Yeah, similar. Yeah, similar. Yeah. I think he might be a bit bigger than him, maybe when he's fully grown. But yeah. That he's. As well. That he'll probably end up playing centre forwards. But he's not playing it now. But that's probably where he'd be heading, and I think that.
Jazz, can you just say what you said again? That Dejan Richards, Whisper.
Yeah.
He's gonna be bigger than Lukaku.
I guess so. Yeah, judging on his size. Yeah.
And do you realize that it's like if you were to merge Leon Bailey and Lukaku into one? That's what you get with a Whisper Richards, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's outstanding athlete, and he's good on the ball. I mean, for a young man, he's got a hell of a lot of promise. But it's kind of. I mean, I would say that watching Leicester this season, I've watched most of the games, and you look, sometimes because your own team so well, you look at the opposition teams. The Nigerian young man who plays centre forward for Napoli. He was. I thought he was absolutely outstanding when Leicester played Napoli in the Europa League. He was probably one of the most exciting young boys I've seen. He went through a similar route to Leon. He was in Belgium first. That's what I guess people are looking for. I mean, Whisper's probably 2-3 years away from sort of being fully grown and from being fully developed. Yeah,
it's 15. Now,
So-
if you were a national team coach, wouldn't you have had this boy already in your U15s, your U18s, your U19s, even on the national team on the bench or training with the seniors, blooding this kid, getting him ready?
Yeah. I mean, undoubtedly, the amount of potential that he has, I'm surprised if he hasn't had that national recognition. Certainly, when he came over to England to play on the tour, certainly there was. I know a lot of the teams who you played against, who were some of them who were professional club professional club academy sides. I mean, they were immediately interested in finding out his background and things because he was because of the impression that he made very, very quickly. So yeah. I mean, I can't imagine that he's not at least in the frame for a national program.
Never once called up.
Yeah.
They don't even know he exists.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that surprises me given what I saw.
And it's not like they have the excuse that they haven't seen him. I mean, we've been putting up videos, highlights, goals, everything, every week. So, I mean, is it a case? I mean, it's something that we always talk about anyway, that the recruitment process isn't there. There's not somebody who really goes and watches every aspect of what's available. And I think that's just talks a bit about what needs to improve, where they can't just continue on and miss out on these next Lukaku plus Bailey type of players, right? So it goes down to the recruitment process, and Craig, I know you have a great recruitment process too. It's sort of like you have to just open your arms in a sense and just see what people can do, and just even if it's a case where you're not too sure if a player is ready yet, at least send them an invite so that you can see them in person and get a better sense.
Well, if you have a national program that comes in twice a week with players in different age groups, 2 or 3 levels. So for each age group, you have so you bring in twice a week, 25 players. Then you'd be in a position where you would have known about Leon Bailey. You would have known about Dujon Richards before he goes to the road. Can you imagine if Dujon has grandparents that are English? Just imagine if when he lands in England and he's going to school, he's never been capped by Jamaica, and at 21 years old, he's offered British citizenship. That's another Raheem Sterling gone through the door. And whose fault would it have been? Would it have been Mr. Richards' fault, who decided after not being called up, not being asked to come to training, ignored, left? Or would it have been the head of the football organization, the coaching staff fault and recruitment staff for not inviting the player? These are the things that we have to heavily consider. When I develop my players at Phoenix, I develop them within a system. If Leon Bailey lands tomorrow, Kyle Butler, any one of them, Raylan Paisley, any one of them land and go in a position they know exactly what to do. They are well prepared. What happens when we send them to Brookhouse and they're there at Brookhouse for 2 years and they move from Brookhouse into a professional team in Belgium? Didn't you just sign a young player over to Genk in Belgium?
Yeah, there was a young Tanzanian boy just finished his A-levels who's moved over to Genk in Belgium. Yeah, that happened. That happened this summer. He finished his courses this summer.
Yes.
I think
it's not. I mean, Brookhouse has placed a lot of players in pro, so it's not about it may happen or it's a guess. It's about ensuring you have a system in place, ensuring that the boys are appreciated and feel loved, ensuring that players born overseas are being recruited. I mean, I felt loved when Dan Ashman spoke to us about Leon coming to play for England. At that time, the JFF was not even considering Leon. He was, quote unquote, an ordinary player, according to the technical director at the time. And so it's important that we recognize that we have to stop this now. We have to do what's in the best interest of the country. We have the best raw materials in the world, I think. The fastest human beings on the planet are coming from this rock. So why not try and develop them properly? Why not try and treat them properly? Why not try and treat them with respect, appreciate them, and at the same time keep good communications going with them and put a system in place so that when they come home to play, at least they understand each other. Hey, Giles, Mikel Antonio, isn't he the joint top scorer in the Premier League right now?
That's right, yeah.
He's playing, he's committed to Jamaica. He plays in the Jamaica national team. Leon Bailey, Bobby Reed.
I think one of the difficult things is that say in the case of Dujon, if things pan out the way it's very possible that they will, the thing is that and he does do very well, and he goes on and he represents his country. The problem is going to be is just that is that has it happened the right way? Do you know what I mean? How's he going to feel about it? Because what's he going to say? Well, it took for me to sign for Aston Villa before you put me in the team. Is that what's going to happen? You know what I mean? That's the. I mean, what a different experience.
He says that's what's going to happen again.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing that I think is the question. It's like the relationships is not on a great footing. Whereas he could turn around and say, "Yeah, I've been with the national team since I was." I mean, to be fair, with the young boy who left. I mean, who left Brookhouse in the summer to go to Genk. To be fair to him, he's already played for the national team, like full international. I mean, he was playing as a full international in his final year as a schoolboy.
Yeah.
I mean, we actually had two boys last year who were capped, not in the age group team, but in the full national team. When they were
cap Dejan Richards right now before we lose him. Cap him now. The boy is 6'3" and growing. He's grown since he came home. And he's massive.
Yeah.
Fast, skilled, knows all the skill sets, coachable, can play all 3 points of attack.
Yeah, and it's like our technical director Mickey Adams. He said to me when he was watching him play, he said I'd have hated to have played against him. And that's normally a good enough sign for me. You know, if Mickey says I'd hate to play against him, that means that the kid's good.
Yeah.
You know, I tell you, it's how do you stop him? You can't bully him because he's bigger than you. He's not gonna fail in terms of his technique because his technique is almost perfect. He doesn't have a weak foot because we worked on that, so he uses both feet. He's not slow, so we can't use pace with him.
Yeah,
you have to stop him from getting the ball. that's the only way. For you have to stop the other players from getting him the ball. Almost that's how you can stop him pretty much.
Well, that's pretty difficult when you have a midfield like what Phoenix has that we look into. They're programmed already to look for the wingers and look for the strikers and isolate 1-on-1, 1v1s. But you know, one of the great things that I'm happy about is that we're able to create relationships like what we have with Brookhouse, you know. Brookhouse in England and St. George's in Germany, where we have places where these players can go, that they can continue their development and still be able to come home. The question now is whether or not our National Football Federation and the coaches, whoever the coach is now or who will come in, is going to be able to understand the importance of having players playing in a system, developing and training the young ones in that system and matriculating into the senior team. Because it just doesn't seem like they understand. I mean, you have to understand, Brandon, the National Football Center, apart from Premier League games, is up at UA being unused.
Yeah. Well, before Premier League, it was dormant for even before the pandemic. I mean, I feel it wasn't much.
It was still dormant.
Yeah.
Nobody's using it. You have two fields up there. You have a building created for dorms and housing. And can you imagine, Giles, no one is using it. And their players, I think the only is myself and a guy called Speed that's actually still trying to develop talent. You know?
And I mean, for a while in England there was we've got St George's Park. There was Lilleshall before that. Sort of because the other factor in it all is and we're concentrating on the development of excellence and things, but it's also looking after things like injuries as well. It's not just. But I mean, heaven forbid, but one of these boys injures themselves. The like a Dujon or some of the boys who were coming through the grassroots football at Phoenix. But if they get expert medical treatment, it's going to make them a better recovery, a faster recovery. So even that side of the game is just something which is, if one of those boys, like if I would hope that that in the so say when Leon was 16 or 15, 16, if he'd done his cruciate, say, who was there going to be that infrastructure in place to help him make a good recovery, to prioritize him as a elite athlete with supreme potential? Because
well, for Phoenix, we have that. Been able to insulate us because many of the parents in our organization are doctors or lawyers or whatever, so they're very committed. So I've worked out where we get really good expert care at Phoenix, and as a result of that, we have that done. And a great thing, the Minister of Government also agreed to put us on the insurance scheme, so all our players will be covered. I'm so excited about that, and it's really
that was great news, and I thought it was interesting
from her on the national football.
That's very, 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 very significant thing.
Yeah, so it's very important, and we're happy about it.
Yeah,
what we want to do is continue.
Yeah,
we'll have them for a year, maybe 2 years. Help me build them and help me move them, because we have a factory just building players one after the other. Behind that group that you saw come the other day is another group just as good, if not better.
Yeah.
And behind that, another and another, going all the way down to like U9. Quality. So we want to continue that vein. I want to see our national team being the leader. I want them to take over what I'm doing. Take it. Go with it.
Yeah.
Be the leader behind all of this. Make it a national program. Can you imagine how many talented players are out in the country in Jamaica that nobody knows of, that aren't being seen, and are just wasting away because we don't have a program where they come in? No satellite, nothing.
Yeah.
It's sad. And the benefits of going to Europe and learning, I didn't go there like I knew everything. I went there to learn, and I learned from Ajax. I learned from Genk in Belgium. I learned even from Leverkusen the other day. It's key.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see that being passed on to our country. I mean, you can't have the talent pool that we have. You heard Anthony Grant? You ever heard of him before? The Chelsea product?
Yeah.
He's playing our holding midfield. He's available. Yeah. He played a couple games for us at holding midfield. Top. We have a young prodigy called Tyreek McGee that is down in Belgium. I took over with him and working on him, and he's really, really a top talent. So soon we want to look at moving him into England, and we're going to need your help with that too, Giles, because he's at Eupen now. Eupen in Belgium?
Yeah.
He's there, and he's having his breakthrough year, getting in, and I want to look at moving him over to England soon enough.
Yeah.
But we have to get the national team of Jamaica in the top 50 consistently. because we need to be, you know.
Yeah.
And that's not going to happen without a system in place, without proper coaching and matriculation and development. So I'm always willing to help. You know, I'm not in the best of health, but I'm always willing to help, and I'm willing to set it so that after I'm gone or I can't go anymore, someone can continue.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll tell you this. This is the last thing I'll say on the subject. You ever been to Austria, to Salzburg, Giles?
Yes, yeah, I know it well.
Well, I went there and I looked at all these buildings and all these things that it would have taken years and years to build. And I met the Minister of the Interior once, and I said to him, "This is so beautiful, you know, all that you have here." And he said, "Well, Craig, the reason for this is that Austrians do not think in terms of 5 or 6 or 10 years. They think in terms of lifetimes. Grandfathers did this so that we could get the benefit of it 100 years later. And we are doing things so that Austrians 100 years after that will be able to get the benefit of it. And if you think like that, then you can build and do great things." I think for our country, Jamaica, we need to have that type of mentality in our football. You know, not just in football, but many other things. You know, build for someone else to come and reap the benefits. You know, because in truth and fact, I often think that immortality comes through being remembered. You know, and in your children, in your genes, what you leave behind, what you stood for. And if anything I want to leave this world with is being in a better place, especially with our football, because the football can be a vehicle to, you know, a better life for many, many kids, you know. Better life.
And it is about a legacy of, you know, of social mobility, you know, and the success stories. If you look at someone like David Beckham, you know, went from a small house in East London to running a global business. You know, yeah, football's been obviously a huge part of it. But I think that the opportunities for social mobility to change people's lives, they're huge, and in terms of where you stand on it is kind of it is a generational thing, but in order to achieve that generational transition, you do need to set the targets, you know, and they have to be quite demanding targets. So I think the English FA under Gareth Southgate, I think they set the target of getting to the semi-final of the Euros, and they set the target of getting to the final of the World Cup. I think that I believe they were the targets. I might be wrong, but I think that so to be fair, and I think Gareth Southgate hasn't committed himself to England after the World Cup, because it's a really big job. You know, and he's taken on a massive commitment. He obviously wants to do it well. So I imagine he's probably thinking, you know what, I'm seeing this as a 6-year cycle or whatever. Maybe I can go again after the World Cup, but maybe I can't. Maybe it will be time for somebody else to come in and pick up this mantle and run with it. And it's the same thing that you're saying, Craig, is that you'll be able to take it so far yourself, but whether that's on grounds of, you know, whether that's on grounds of it's not just health, you know what I mean? It's enthusiasm, passion, desire, commitment. You know, you can't expect people to drive themselves into the ground working to achieve something. Someone else has got to do it as well, you know. So you've got to have a plan, you've got to have a target, you know, it's like for me, you know, the at the school, there's you need other people who buy into the vision because who knows what's going to happen? You know, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow. You know,
Exactly.
it's about a plan that people are going to see through as a group, and I think everybody's just a small part of that plan.
You know what I wanted to ask you, Giles, because I've been speaking about this on an earlier program and to some other people. How many coaching? What does the coaching staff look like in the national team? Is it one coach, one manager, that Gareth Southgate, or does he have secondary coaches, defensive coaches, attacking coaches, coaches for the wing backs, the goalkeepers?
Oh, I mean, yeah, they've got a big setup. You know, they've got a big setup underneath Gareth Southgate. So you know the I mean, he's got his assistants. He obviously he needs his assistants. You know, it's the same at I mean the same at all pro clubs in the UK. I mean the amount of ex footballers who you speak to, the amount of different managerial styles they've worked from. You get some managers who lead every training session. You get some managers who they don't really see from one week to the next. You know, there's different ways of doing it. You know, I mean Brian Clough, who you know is a managerial legend and achieved the impossible, and is you know will forever be remembered in Nottingham as an amazing person. You know, I mean, but I don't think I mean, he works with, you know, Peter Taylor, his assistant. They worked like that for years with, you know, one guy doing the training and the other guy doing more of the managerial stuff. I mean, it's a team effort. It's got to be a team effort.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, one of my suggestions were with the national team that yes, you need someone from Jamaica to be the coach. But you also, the players that qualified us for the 1998 World Cup, many of them have gone into coaching. And I would want to see, you remember Ricardo Gardner from Bolton?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would want to see him working with the wingbacks, because he was a wingback, working with the wingbacks in the national coaching setup from the top down through the youths, you know? I'd want to see the midfielders with you know Jermaine Hugh and Altamont Butler, you know, all good midfielders that played for Jamaica at one point. And Ian Goodison, who also played for Tranmere Rovers and was the central defender for the national team of Jamaica that went to the 98 World Cup. I'd want to see him also working with the central defenders, giving guidance, mentorship, doing trainings, you know, creating the central defenders almost in a mold of himself from the top right down to the bottom, working with the under 15s, the under 12s, the under 19s, the U23s, all the way through. And then you have the head coach and the assistant coach and the technical director. So with that setup, you have a team working together and you'll be able to get a lot more done than if you just have one man who doesn't even speak.
Yeah. And then on top of that, Greg, you mentioned on the Sportsmax broadcast a few weeks ago that you don't necessarily want Tapa to be fired, but, you know, possibly demoted to one of those roles. Put him with some players that you
yeah, but after this.
No, you change your stance on that, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Giles, I know we're approaching 1 a.m.
Yes, late for Giles. Sorry.
Yeah,
Giles,
I've got to take my 8-year-old to football tomorrow morning, so I'm going to bid you guys farewell. It's a pleasure speaking to you, Craig, as ever.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time, Brandon.
Look forward to please take care of Shelley and Whisper when they come.
Yeah, no, don't you know, I've got your back on that. Don't worry about that.
All right.
Okay, good night, guys. Take care, Craig. Thank you, Brandon.
Will do. Thanks again. Ciao. Bye.
All right, so that was Giles of Brookhouse College, managing director. So we're some of these Phoenix players. He was here before, so it's always great to see him. Coach, you want to go through a few comments before we?
Yeah, let's do that quickly and then sign off. I'm so tired, man.
No problem. There's a bit of debate that there isn't too many comments, but there's a lot of comments on this topic that I think you can address. It's the fact that if you were to get into that position, people are saying that, well, you would just fill it up with Phoenix players, right? Well, what do you say to those people?
Absolutely not. I've always thought that the best must play. And I also believe in a panel of selection. So not one person, but the group would select the best. And I always considered having the group as coaches. So it was never about getting Phoenix players or non-Phoenix players. It was always about Jamaica. And if that wasn't the case, as you saw a while ago, Leon was being courted by England, by Germany, by Belgium. If we never loved Jamaica and wanted the best for Jamaica, Leon could have gone a long time.
Yeah.
It was about Jamaica first. And the opposite, though, is that if the player is good enough, he should not be turned away just because he's from Phoenix or from Cavaliers or from Harborview. You know, it shouldn't be that the person in charge is seeking to push his players. It should be about the team working together to get the best players playing for our country, wherever they came from. And that's one of the reasons why I've kept saying that if I was being offered the post as a national team coach, I would not take it unless I would be able to have Rudolph Speed with me. For several reasons. One, it wouldn't be a Craig Butler Phoenix or a Rudolph Speed Cavaliers, but canceling out that conflict of interest that would exist across the board. It would be a team. And I would want to also request immediately Bibi Gardner to come and work with the wingbacks, Goodison to work with the central defenders. And it's not a matter of those guys wanting money, because they will do it for free, I'm sure. They love Jamaica enough, as I would, So it's not about you needing money to get these people. We get them on board, we work together, we motivate each other, we motivate the players, and we get to the World Cup, you know? It's not about whether I would want Phoenix players in, but it's also not about whether or not I would want to see Phoenix players who are good enough left out. As I wouldn't want to see Mikel Antonio not want to come or not be here for whatever reason. You know? If I was the coach, Mikel Antonio would be here. Because I would make sure he comes. Because he's a quality player, he's talented. I would make sure Leon Bailey doesn't travel for 10 hours in economy.
Coach,
And if Jamaica doesn't have the money to pay for the ticket, we explain it to Leon and them guys and make them help us with some tickets. Say, yo, Mikel and Leon, help us. We need some tickets for these guys so they can travel first class. What you can do first? I would take that approach. I wouldn't take the high and mighty approach. No. That's not how it works.
And then if you do that, if that system's in place where 2 times a week players can come in and practice and train, it's impossible to just have Phoenix players. You'll have players from all around.
You'll see every player. You would want every player. You would want to see every player as a national coach. Add to that the fact that these players can all transfer and make money for the country. Imagine that kid that is out in Westmoreland somewhere that nobody sees and nobody knows about. We have a recruiting representative out there and they say, hey, look at this guy. And he comes into Kingston and you find the next Kevin De Bruyne. Then imagine that kid is out there in Westmoreland and nobody sees him, nobody hears about him. And he plays scrimmage on a Sunday evening with his friends and never realize his potential for him or for country.
How many of those have already passed? How many of those are already 40, 50?
How many of those ordinary players are there?
Yeah. Good point. All right, we just have two more. First, Michael Senior is saying thank you for the donation of the boots for the Godfrey Stewart High School team. I think he was the principal, if I remember correctly.
No, he was the head coach.
Head coach, sorry, yeah, head coach. So
Yeah.
that was great. That happened on our show.
I want to thank them for giving us the opportunity.
Yeah.
And for the personal, I think he wants to remain anonymous, but he was a person who went to Godfrey Stewart, who watches our program and supports even the Phoenix movement.
Yeah.
And he was more than willing to donate, I think, 18 pairs of boots for them.
Yeah, that was great. That was a great initiative. It was no hesitation. As soon as he came on, he said, "How can I send this guy money or send him boots or something?" And just like that was done. So it was great to see. And then just lastly,
Neville Muir, actually.
Sorry?
His name is Neville Muir.
Neville Muir, okay. We have to get him on the show.
Yeah, we need to.
Sure. And then just last one, someone, Demar Smith, asking about tryouts. If you'd like for the next trial, please email this email here. I'm adding it in the chat. And then we will plan the next one. Most likely, I'll talk to Craig about it. Looking at maybe either this month or next month to coordinate another trial day. If you go on our second YouTube channel, you'll see the last trial day. I ask everybody again to please subscribe to our official Phoenix All Stars Academy YouTube channel. I'm putting the links in the things into the chat. There's a great new video that we have out there, Craig. The Phoenix players were training. I believe it was the date. It was October 7th, I believe, when they were training in rain and mud, and they were just. I'm actually going to pull it up here real quick. It's a great video, and it shows exactly what you're saying, that no matter what the circumstances, you're still pushing and you're still trying to getting the players out there. So this was a great video, I thought. So the players are out there, they're all trying their all, and they're getting dirty, and they're just really fighting. You see picking up the training there. So we have these videos coming out 3-4 times a week. Please go like and subscribe that, and of course like and subscribe this channel, and we all appreciate the support. I'll be back hopefully there, Craig, before we know it, beside and starting.
Yeah, man, we miss you, Brandon.
We'll be there soon. Miss it there too. Miss everybody, the whole Phoenix family. So any last words, Craig?
Remember, you're a Canadian, isn't
it? Exactly. I've been told, yeah. You see, I don't know if you saw it, but I have my jersey out there. I need to hang it up. I want to frame it up on the wall back here.
Yeah.
But I tried to just throw it up there for now, and I'll figure out somewhere for it.
Don't worry, man.
Yeah.
We miss you, Brandon, and we appreciate you. Really do.
Thank you. I'll be back.
Looking forward to having you back.
For sure.
As I said, I'm available to help if they ask. And I also believe that Without Speed should be a part of that.
And congrats to him winning the Premier League. Yeah, on Saturday. I saw you there.
It goes to show that you can do it with youth,
Exactly.
I think he is the 9th youngest Premier League team in the world.
Wow. Yeah. And
I think he would be the youngest if Phoenix was to enter. He would be the youngest in the world if Phoenix was to enter, because I've been putting out 15-year-olds to play.
Yeah.
Because I believe that the level of the Phoenix Academy now is so high that, wow.
Yeah, you've been playing Premier League players anyway, so
we've been playing Premier League teams. Tivoli, how much did Tivoli come in the league? 4th?
Yeah, they win the playoffs. They were 4th or 5th.
And Phoenix beat Tivoli.
Yeah.
You understand? So
exactly. Exactly.
I hope Tivoli don't mind playing us and will continue to play us and not be mad because we boast that we beat them. But it's an honor to play you.
Yeah.
It's an honor to beat you. And we will look forward to playing you again, because you are always fair referees and fair in how you deal with the youngsters. I appreciate you, Tivoli Gardens. Congratulations to Cavaliers FC for winning. To Waterhouse, great effort. Bruce Bicknell puts a lot of effort behind Waterhouse, he and his team, and good effort to get so far. Also to all of those others that are out there helping and developing football, trying their best to help us as a nation get forward. Respect, keep up the good work, and understand we're all one Jamaica. It's not about a Phoenix or a Cavaliers or a Harborview. It's about Jamaica first. And once we can get each other all on the same page, there's a time for everything under the sun. And I think now is the time to come together. Our country needs us. Our players, our national team players needs us. The heads are down, Jamaica. I agree that Tapa now needs to go, but I also think that we can save this. And we can save this if we believe in the players, motivate them, all of them, not just the local, but also those who are leaving where they're raised to come and represent the country of their foreparents. Love needs to win. Love needs to be there first,
Very, very well said. Well,
big up to everybody. Brandon, big up. I'm tired. I have to go take medication.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Love you guys.
All right.
Respect.